Week 1, day 1 of the Countdown Cup qualifiers. My name is Jaws, joined by Hex as always. We've got 2 matches for you today coming up rather soon. I had a slight panic before the broadcast, but we're okay now, by the way. But Vancouver Titans facing up against the Paris Eternal to start us off. And then we got Battle of Texas later on.
Yeah, no need to panic, man. I'll be your therapy dog. I'm here to calm you down. It's going to be all good. We got 2 great matches today. Returning champion Paris Eternal, who've been improving all year as we go into the Countdown Cup. And now they play against a Vancouver team that's been looking really, really good. And yeah, the tournament format overall has just been great. And if you think that it's not been, you're just wrong. I'm sorry. That's just the truth of it. And now we have another brand new tournament that's going to happen. Going to give away some more money, but more importantly, I think, especially for these teams in the middle, is you get free wins if you win the tournament.
Yeah, it's going to feel pretty good. Of course, on your screens right now, you can see the Countdown Cup rewards. A cool 50k, plus 3 wins to your record for first place, 25k, and 10k for second and third. Or semi-finalists even, and 2 and 1 wins respectively added to your record. And for the next couple of weeks, we have hero pools coming back. Some of you are going to love it. Maybe a couple of you are going to hate it, and I say a couple. We do have May Arissa out of the pool, Widowmaker and Ana as well. No more Nano Blades, unfortunately, and no more Exi on the Widow, sad to say. But Arissa and May is going to relieve a lot of frustrations, I think, for the main tank players.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely going to see some interesting stuff because Arissa's been like 100% pick rate for a long time. Her and Sigma, I imagine Sigma's still going to get played a lot. Just the kit is very, very good. No Widow means we're going to see a ton of Ashe, and I think teams are still going to try to force the Genji. I'd be stunned if Paris doesn't just run the Genji till someone shuts it down, even though you don't have the Nano Genji, and even though you don't have Supercharger. But yeah, I think Paris has made their claim of like, we're going to run Genji until someone deals with it. These teams have faced off before, though, Jaws, in our quarterfinals of Vancouver Titans versus the Paris Eternal, and Vancouver, I think, surprising even everyone, like, took a map. Like, that's kind of impressive against Paris.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Paris obviously eventual winners of the Summer Showdown as well, and a brand new team for the Titans. Well, not so much brand new anymore, of course, but still a good look for a squad with relatively unknown players outside of their respective regions are really starting to make a name for themselves. Shockwave specifically, too, has just been an absolute monster, and having him play against some of the best DPS we have, not even in the league, just in the world, and showing up, is just been such a refreshing taste for the Titans for sure. KSA and Shredlock, of course, in the tank role, and then Rolf and Karkar, a very veteran support mixed with a brand new, younger support player. It's been really exciting to see Titans develop over the last few weeks, and after they did make the remake of the team. The team fight stats, however, looking at the last game they did play against each other,
yeah,
one big outlier stands right before your eyes in orange. First death win rate for the Titans, 0%.
It's not ideal. When you think about like the best teams in the league, and I think about like San Francisco Shock, how they win like 40 to 60, I can't remember the exact stat, of fights that they lose the first person going in. So like you have to be able to pull back fights when you don't get that first pick and you're down a man. You need somebody to come in big and get a 2K to even it out. So far, at least in that matchup, it did not work out great, but I think Paris is going to go back to that same game plan of just run the Genji. We'll see what Vancouver can do about it. Shockwave's going to have a lot on his plate to try to deal with the dynamic duo of the Paris Eternal DPS, and yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see it. I think everybody's got Paris winning this one, but if Vancouver shows up and can hang with Paris, I think that conversation about the Vancouver Titans starts to change.
Yeah, well, Shockwave does have a couple of words for us coming into this rematch. Let's see what he has to say.
So last time we played against Paris, I think we got kind of outplayed by the Genji. I think a very important thing was that we showed a lot of potential, and I think because of that we have motivation to prove ourselves again, to make a possible upset yet again. And I think since then we've also been practicing a lot, playing against the Genji and playing with the Genji, so I think we've had some good practice since that.
Well, shutting down Genji is normally a lot tougher than it actually appears to be, especially when that Genji is Sparkle, of course, but if that's what Titans want to get revenge on, that's definitely what they're going to be aiming for today. Shockwave and Dalton in the DPS slot, Shredlock and KSA, and Rolf and Karkar going to round out the support role.
I think this team, you look at it, and everyone kind of expected Dalton to play really well, and he's been solid. Shockwave has been the big surprise for this damage line. They've been good for Vancouver as far as this rebuild goes. A lot of people cut them slack on the first couple weeks of like, look, these guys are going to take a second, and now they're in the conversation of a team that could contest for maybe taking a second or a first in one of these tournaments. Shredlock and KSA have been rock solid. I do want to see a little bit of improvement and consistency from the support line. You got a guy like Rolf, a veteran who's been playing Overwatch at the highest levels for years. You got to cut out some of these mistakes. I think if they can shore up the support line, they're going to look a lot better, and they're getting better every week. And I know we say that about a lot of teams, but I think it rings most true for Vancouver.
Most definitely. However, well, like I just said, Hex, Genji, pretty hard hero to shut down, especially when Spark was in the mix, and plus, Xe as well as hit scan, just a little bit absurd. He was impressive week 1 when he was in New York, and just having consistent highlight reels being made of him is just ridiculous. Of course, him, Xe, along with Hanbin, Element Mystic alumni, stepping into the Paris Eternal for this season, they've proven time and time again they're not DPS to be messed with, and their skill set is perfectly matched with each other as well. There's just so many highlights you can make of just these 2 DPS alone for the Eternal. It's just kind of absurd.
I mean, all the talk was about Sparkle, and rightfully so. He came in, and he's done everything that everyone expected him to be on the Genji. May leaves a little something to be desired, but it's been Xe who's been so consistent for this team. Before Sparkle was eligible to play, you had Xe rocking Soldier 76, rocking McCree, and then just the guts on him to take some of the angles he does, like that highlight of his Widowmaker on Rialto. Like, you have to have supreme confidence in yourself to be able to pull that off. So Xe and Sparkle have been everything that we've been expecting from this Paris Eternal team, the Paris that was promised. And you know what? Their support line is actually godly as well.
Yeah, pretty disgusting. Fielder still playing on very high ping, is still able to hit ridiculous sleep darts too, and FD God as well. A boot God on the Lucio. They got Ben Best, of course, Mr. Jawline, and Hunbin in the tank role. We're having Soon step in instead of Xe for the start of this series, as if they want to keep that going. Normally it does feel they do run one of the French DPS players in for control, so he's going to be alongside Sparkle. Li Zhang is our first map as well.
Yeah, Soon almost always plays control for this team. They usually have him in there. I was expecting maybe a Reaper if we were going to play Nepal. We've seen that a lot of times before, but Reaper not as good without the Mei. We'll see what teams want to run. Look, the meta is wide open. We've had some kind of scrim reports and some results about like what teams are running, but the consensus is teams are going to run a lot of different stuff. And so I love doing the first match of the week because it's like, I don't know. Let's just see. Let's figure it out. What are teams going to run? And we get to get into map on Lijiang Tower. Of course, control metas don't always transfer to the rest of the meta here, but Vancouver Titans, Paris Eternal, control. Welcome to the new cup.
Oh man, I'd have to agree with you. I wanted to see what people are going to play, because when you think of Genji and how he succeeds and how teams make him succeed, one of the big things is nano boost, right? But Ana's now out of the pool. We did see teams, however, run without the nano boost to try and force a Immortality field to come out, and then they can use Flux afterwards, and it was kind of a bit of a flowchart situation where it's like, okay, we use Blade, Immortality down,
right.
We use Pulse, Immortality down, then we Flux, or we Flux to force Immortality, and then Trace comes in with a Pulse, or a Blade, for example. And there's lots of different variations of how you can kind of force this this 20-second cooldown ability from Baptiste to eventually end up winning a team fight. Are teams still going to run the Genji? I think so on certain maps, but it does seem to lend a hand to maybe a Doomfist. Please play a little bit of Doomfist Sparkle. I've been waiting for this for a long time, but something that is a little bit more straight in your face, kind of punching you down. Maybe something like a Mei, maybe something like a Reaper, but it doesn't look like Vancouver Titans are going to run the Genji with an Ashe, kind of a classic comp, but Sparkle's going to be on the Junkrat of all things.
Yeah, I mean, Junkrat got a little bit of a buff too. I mean, there's a lot of patch notes that Watchpoint covered expertly, and early on, Paris just rolls over. That is some main tank difference right there. They just rock up with the Reinhardt and the Sigma, and that fight's over before it started. I didn't even say a sentence during that fight, Jaws.
Okay, that was pretty sweet. That was pretty sweet. If you have Titans, you're like, okay, what's the positives in this situation? You've got to always look for them. Quick reset, I guess. Paris, of course, end up capping the point, and now they can hold close. I love the Junkrat pick too, actually, because you can just spam around the corners, and it's just so frustrating to kind of deal with. And another big tool to actually force out the Immortality field as well. Throwing in a tire, if it doesn't get destroyed instantly, then you have to use the Immortality Field, otherwise it's just going to explode on your supports or DPS without them really doing anything. Speaking of exploding, well, Shockwave, yeah, he's sent all the way back to spawn, or at least pieces of him will be. And that will be a nice little boop in as well. You can see Shredlock in the wrong place at the wrong time. That concussion mine launching him back in towards the Eternal front line.
Well, you think about even beyond just trying to kill opposing heroes, the Paris Eternal damage line is much better at shield crack right now. You can fan the hammer if you want, empty that clip and take down shields. Because, look, Orissa's out of it, but you're still going to try to run double shields, especially on this stage where you can hold this doorway super heavy, and now you're throwing Junkrat in there. The shield advantage is hugely in favor of Paris.
Immortality Field now used. As soon uses the High Noon through the window. Rain the bombs. Sparkle just having an absolute field day. Insta-killing Rolf as soon as that Immortality Field went down and kills KSA on the retreat also. And now Paris Eternal, they're really in last fight territory considering their ultimates. They have Tyre, Flux, they have the Slam and the Beat. And Titans, not too much in their bank. Bob and Blade for this next fight. Flux is going to come up as well, but they're going to have to watch out because Sparkle could just use Tyre to kill off his Blade. Flux is going to start the fight out for Hanbin. Immortality Field still hasn't been used. Very luckily, at least. Sparkle's sending out the Tyre. There it goes instantly out as well. He's making sure it survives for as long as possible. Soon managed to kill off the Immortality Field just in time, and Ben Best takes one with him. Rolf launched off the edge of the map. A Flux for the Titans, but the rest of their front line has gone down rather fast. Shredlock couldn't quite build up to a shatter, and he is going to fall to the likes of Hanbin. KSA at least manages to trade it up, and now it's just Soon on the point, battling with everybody else. He don't need the rest of his team, though. A couple of clicks, and Karkar and KSA are going to fall. An emergency tracer for Shockwave to get back onto the point in time, and a Blade 2, a deflect, and already Genji's at half HP. Might not be able to get anything done. Soon cleans him up. Has built up a High Noon too. This looks all over for the Titans. Haven't got much left in their tank. The High Noon eventually comes through. The Shadow goes wide. Shockwave goes down, and that should just be it. The Eternal cleaning off the Titans, and they're going to take control center.
About as one-sided of a point as you can get, 100% to 0. Only 4 kills for the Vancouver Titans for the entirety of it. We were talking a little bit off stream of like, yeah, I mean, you think about Xe and you think about Sparkle, and these are the names you think of with Paris. But Soon is still a really good DPS. I was like, he's been hanging on Tracer. He can still bust out the Widow. I think like they like him on Control because he's, I think, a little bit more adaptable than Xe. Xe probably more raw, mechanically gifted hit scan, but Soon can play the Reaper, can play the McCree, can play your Tracer. You want Widow. Like, Soon is just like this Swiss Army knife, or French Army knife, is, as it were, for the Paris Eternal. So running him on Control makes a ton of sense. And hopefully we get the Sparkle Doomfist. We kind of theorized maybe we see some hack fists, like Sombra Doomfist could work really well in this meta.
Oh man, I could not wait any longer to see Sparkle on Doomfist, I'm going to be real. It's so deadly as well, actually, when you come out to this point, because Doomfist has got a nice little backboard to kind of bounce people off of, or, of course, push people into the moat. And Soon, just microwaving everybody in the front line. Double shield means infinite ammo for Soon. And everybody else ends up falling over almost instantly. Sparkle's Doomfist has been so well known for such a long time. When he was on Element Mystic, of course, they did end up meeting in the finals with Runaway in 2018, and everybody was theorizing that there was nothing really that could beat Sparkle's Doomfist when they were running Doomfist Goats back in that meta when 222 wasn't a thing. And in fact, I think all the Korean analysts did end up predicting Element Mystic to win, and it didn't end up actually happening in the end. It was Runaway that took the W. They managed to counter it at the very end, but it was seen to be this unstoppable force, this thing that could not be countered. And I'm glad even in 2-2, Spark was able to actually pull it out.
Oh, he's already got 70% on the ult, but really it's Soon who's just cracking shield. Again, very much like last time, the shield crack ability of Paris Eternal is supreme, and Doomfist is not going to help out with that, but you supplement it by running a Symmetra, and you still win the shield battle.
God, Shockwave, what are you doing in the backline? He tried to go for some Xe-style flank, but didn't end up making it work. Sparkle's earned himself a Meteor Strike as well. And I want to point out what FD God just did a couple of seconds ago as well. He was punching out the little barriers just to make sure he can line up a boop perfectly down into a little koi pond down below.
But it's Karkar. Karkar's the one at the boop, gets 2. That's a huge opening for Vancouver.
Goodbye, Shockwave in the back. Oh, dearie me. Instantly slammed down. Flux is going to get opened up as well. Shredlock, unfortunately, even if you survived the initial throw up, you weren't going to survive the one back down, so might as well reset quickly. Rolf as well takes a nice little swim, and the Paris Eternal continue to hold the point.
Well, I mean, they have to do something about this idea that they're going to run double shield, but they're always going to lose the shield battle. It's really difficult to even take a straight-up engage now because they don't have the shield advantage, and they're going to be pushing into ultimates. And really, I mean, you have to run the McCree here. I'm just a little curious about still running the Genji. It's not gotten anything done.
Well, there it is. Got to wait for that Coalescence to come out, but the beat is going to match Dalton. Dalton's high in the sky. He's in a little bit of trouble as well. Soon finds a double kill. A big shatter in the front line as well. And just like that, the team fight's over, and the map might be over as well, as the Paris Eternal clean house. And the Titans are sent all the way back to spawn. FD God finishes Karkar off with the boop. No one's going to be able to get back in time, and the Paris Eternal are going to claim the first match in the series.
Well, the final line on Lijiang Tower is going to be 42-8. That is not how you wanted to start if you're the Vancouver Titans. Paris just seemed to have a better grasp on the meta. Everyone knows you want to run double shield. Even with Orisa out of the meta, shields are really good. So you expected Reinhardt Sigma. Paris always just had a better option on how to crack shields. They won first points by being super aggressive and then never gave them up afterwards. I mean, this is the Paris that won the Summer Showdown. I think everyone kind of expected this result, but Vancouver not looking like the rising star of a team that we thought they were.
Well, I want to know if that stat is continued, and I think it has because Paris hasn't actually given up the point just yet. That 0% team fight win rate when they do lose somebody. We'll see if that does change later on, though. We're going to jump to a quick break. Do not go anywhere. Map number 2, up soon.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch. And by Zip Chair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Welcome back, and really what's better than seeing a team that you love, or just any team to be fair, scream and joy after winning the Summer Showdown. It's really cool that we have fan cams and being able to capture these behind footage, so thank you for that very much, Paris Eternal staff. And although I will say it was sad to see Fielder just kind of chilling at his PC, 200 ping, but Seth was a knight in shining armor and did take him out for a victory dinner at the end, so that was really nice of him to do that. And I think that's the best thing we can really hope for, especially when it comes to things in lockdown and us not having the homestands and stuff, is actually feeling a connection with the teams, and having these videos and having these behind the scenes things is just is so welcome, and it's really a joy to see. Hex smeared. It's
I was
okay.
muted. That's my fault. No, that's my fault.
Fine.
That's not on
We've all
production
done
at all.
We all get 1 or 2 or 3 or 4.
Yes.
Maybe?
Okay. I mean,
Or
it's
Jake.
been it's been a couple weeks. I had some off time. What I was saying is that winning really just builds the bond between your teams. There's an adage that winning fixes everything, but Paris already been in a good spot. That now they just want that feeling again. It's really nice to see everyone in that camaraderie. And yeah, I mean, honestly, if I had the choice between jumping up and down or go out to dinner with Seth, I'd kind of go out to dinner with Seth every day of the week.
Well, let's hear from what Exy and how he was feeling during that match, because it sounded like, from what we've seen, he was actually a little bit sick. So let's have a see what he had to say.
일단 우승한 소감은 제가 컨텐더스에서도 우승이란 커리어가 없었는데 리그라는 큰 무대에 와서 우승을 해서 일단 기분이 정말 좋고 제가 결승전을 뛰면서 좀 아팠는데 원래 제가 가지고 있던 목이랑 어깨 쪽 부상이 있어서 그 경기가 좀 오래 지속이 됐고 풀세트까지 가게 돼서 많이 힘들었는데 팀원들이 옆에서 많이 도와주고 우승을 하고 싶다는 그 생각으로 버티면서 했습니다.
Yeah, so fighting through thick and thin and an illness as well, Exy was still able to click on some heads in that finals match. It's kind of crazy, actually. You know, when you're feeling down in the dumps and you're actually, I wouldn't say forced, but, you know, you want to play, right? You want to be able to secure victory for your team. Just the amount of pressure that must put you under is just insane. So, yeah, good on you, Exy, for powering through that. That is for sure. And obviously taking the championship home. Let's see if you can do it yet again and make it back-to-back. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. This is, if you've only just joined us, the Titans rematch versus the Paris Eternal. Right now, Paris Eternal are 1 map up. Lijiang Tower was theirs 2-0.
And it does seem like they're giving Exy a little time off. I don't see any substitutions coming in, which means that Soon would stay in for Temple of Anubis, which is our next map. But, I mean, I talk about it all the time when I'm, like, building a team and theorizing. Like, I want character guys. And someone who wants to play when they're sick and still puts up a sick performance, if you will. Like, that's a guy I want to build a team around. Exy stepping up huge, even though he's not 100%. That speaks volumes to what kind of team that Paris has put together and what kind of player he is. Like, you want guys who want to play regardless of any situation.
When you've got one just like that, and you have a deep bench as well if you are the Paris Eternal. You got 2 Frenchmen sitting on it too. But actually taking a step back means we're going to see more Soon, which I do not mind whatsoever. Soon, of course, rather historied player, and it's good to see him still at the top of his game in the Overwatch League and on a team that as well has a lot of youngsters and a lot of rising stars, really. Of course, Hanbin and Sparkle specifically were very well known in Contenders Korea, but having them step up to the big leagues and perform alongside people like Soon, and it's even against people like Rolf as well, who's been around since the game's inception,
Yeah.
the tournament's inception too. Rolf played in Apex.
Yeah.
This a lot of history between these two teams, and it's good to see, like I said, youngsters playing with the old guard of Overwatch and the old guard of competition Overwatch as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the narrative around Paris has been about their damage dealers, right? We talk about Exy, we talk about Sparkle, but you look at the rest of this roster and it's like, oh yeah, they still have all of these other guys too. Like FT God, Fielder, Ben Bess has played really well, but in my opinion, like Hanbin has been so good for this Paris Eternal team in a meta. Well, the last several metas where you just need to run Sigma 100%, Hanbin has been stepping up to the plate, even runs a really good Diva too. We shall see if Paris can get some value out of the Genji. Vancouver did not seem to get a ton of value out of Genji on control, but now we're on Anubis. Could be a completely different animal.
That it could be. Kind of classic rollouts. More Genji as well for Sparkle and Dalton. Just the classic duel upon the Mega Pack. Sparkle taking a very aggressive angle, trying to get that Immortality field down. A little bit too aggressive, though. Sparkle does manage to click on his head. Now, or Shockwave even, managed to click on his head. Now Shockwave in the perfect position if you were an Ash. High in the sky, and even Dalton getting a nice little couple of dash resets there. Also, best thing about taking that fight, though, is getting your Reinhardt up to his ult and your Sigma as well. But Shredlock managed to do a little bit more damage than Ben Best in that situation. Does mean they have that shatter for this fight.
Well, the bad thing for Paris as well is Fielder ended up using Amp Matrix during that. And you consider where these fights always happen on Anubis, they're about a doorway size of where you can just put that Amp Matrix down, and now Paris is going to be behind it. Maybe they can land a shatter here, though.
Well, there you go. Oh, there's the shatter from Ben Best. Oh, what was that? Like a 90-degree shatter? Fakey? Okay. Shockwave's Bob's going to do a lot of work, though. Sparkle goes down, and Dalton using that blade. Got a lot of armor stacking up, though, as the rally was used from both FD God and Karkar. Dalton almost invincible in this fight. He's still trying to do a little bit of work, and now there's relatively little healing as he managed to shake Fielder out of the fight, too. Oh, it's expended. However, Paris do have Bob and a blade of their own coming into this next fight. A quick reset from them as well, as they do have the closer spawn.
Yeah, Paris wins the economy during that fight. They don't end up using a lot. Fielder already has Amp Matrix back up again, and with Sigma going down, you'd have to think Paris is favored.
Yeah, oh, someone please kill Dalton in the back. He is very low, but no, soon's going to be fine. There's the blade. Perfect slash and dash on Karkar. A reset to kill Shockwave. That's a triple kill for Sparkle, and that's point 1 going over to Paris.
I guess if you're playing BAP, you just use your Amplification Matrix whenever, because Fielder, at the end of last fight, when he used the Amplification Matrix, got nothing out of it, ended with like 60%, and then they go into the next fight, have Amp Matrix up yet again. The amount of healing you put out as BAP, especially in these kind of close quarters brawls where everybody's taking a little bit of chip damage, is enormous. I don't know if Paris has the ults to really close it out, though. It's only Flux on the board for them.
Just the spawn is so good. I mean, also Bob is really good on this point too, because you can kind of set him in a corner and he's fairly hard to really deal with. However, double shield does kind of help and mitigate a lot of that. There's the Flux to start the fight out. Shreddog also has the shadow and he crashes back down. KSA also using the ult. I love seeing a Sigma getting fluxed when he's also using the Flux. That was a very quick team fight. I barely got my words out. Shockwave and Dalton cleaning on up. That Flux and the Shatter combo, oh, so good. Everybody's lifted up, Shatter comes down, everybody falls over, and then Genji does his thing. A blade for Dalton for the next fight, and an Amp Matrix as well. Paris Eternal have got that Shatter, but I feel like they're going to have to build up to a blade in order to really seal the deal in this team fight. Yeah,
Paris would have liked to get some more ultimates out of Vancouver there. If you could have forced a blade towards the end or an Amplification Matrix, you feel much better about that fight. But all said and done, they come out relatively even when the ultimates are counted. It's going to be Ben Best with the Shatter trying to get something done here.
He has to line up for it first. Oh my word! That's an aggressive position from Ben Best. Even more aggressive from Dalton. Right up in the sky. FD God has to get out of there ASAP. Feels like he didn't really need to use that blade, as Ben Best was already dead, but, you know, taking the team fight and instantly ending it and making sure you'll rest your DPS and tanks and get a little bit more ult charge as well by chasing them into spawn. Not too bad whatsoever.
The cleanup there on the chase down, they get everybody going. Paris's next fight is going to be a really good opportunity, though. They have both damage ultimates up, and Bob is really good on defense, but as offense, he can be a really nice opener. You just send him right down the middle and chuck out all those shields out of the way and maybe follow it up with Blade, and then while all the chaos is happening, you can try to hit a Shatter. However, Vancouver with the rally does have the tools to shut down all of this aggression.
If Sparkle landed back into that dynamite, I would have been mad. I would have been very mad. You don't need to do that. Oh, aggressive positioning once again. Got to be careful though. Ben Best still has that shadow. They must know at this point. And a Bob is just going to stop them from moving. Bob doing his best doorman impression. There's a Bob from Vancouver Titans as well. Ben Best has to get out there rather fast. A huge shadow on the front. Oh, a counter shadow's massive from Ben Best. Oh, it looks so good. But it was too late. Dalton and Shredlock already did the damage necessary. Oh, that would have been so clean, as sharp as his jawline, but he wasn't able to make it happen. Ben Best have 2 minutes, Paris Eternal now have 2 minutes on the board. And we see actually soon switching over to a Sombra. They just want that EMP Blade combo, and that's going to be it.
If you're going to make switches, you do it at 2 minutes. It almost guarantees you getting ultimate. It's the 2-minute warning. If you're on a hero and you can't charge your ult in 2 minutes, you're not playing it correctly. And this looked good, but what is going to be the follow-up on the counter Shatter in this situation? Everyone's on the ground.
Oh man, Dalton already was at the back. He already dashed through somebody, so the shot didn't actually hit him. Oh, sad to see, but Soon's going to have to build up towards the CMP. It's very tough on this map though, Hex. There's not a lot of free space. Speaking about free space, KSA is doing just that. Instant plugs, instant kill to Hanbin, and then a rock to finish it all off as well. 60 seconds does remain for the Eternal to push on to this second point. And with only 1 minute and 40% in the bank for the EMP, this very much looks like an OT EMP, which means Paris Eternal are going to have to play rather subdued and going to have to rely on the Flux to create the space for them and then move on to the point. If Sparkle pops this blade early, Hex, I think it's going to be over because they're not going to be able to combo with too much as they follow with the EMP.
I mean, the idea is that Paris is playing for one single fight, right? EMP Blade, and you try to get there, and they've actually changed their supports into a big brawly comp here. They've got a Lucio and a Moira to be able to rock dead center. Soon just has to get this EMP. A nice solo kill, though, on Dalton.
That is a perfect start, but a perfect rock as well. Hanbin ends up falling over. Blade for Sparkle kills Rolf. They might not even need the EMP if they could just do that. Flux or no Flux, Paris Eternal still make their way to the point and find the team kill as well. They build up the EMP, and now they can hack the Wrecking Ball as he comes in. They didn't even need to do that. They do cap the point. That win condition that we set up perfectly, Hex, in our beautiful storytelling ways wasn't even needed because Paris Eternal managed to get the initial kill onto Dalton, which then they followed up with a perfect blade. I want to go back to what we said at the very start of the game, Hex, and the start of the series, with Ana being taken out of the meta, and sorry, not out of the meta, sorry, with the hero pool was taken out of the game, and Brig not now giving you armor as overheal. I was concerned that Genji wasn't going to be a really viable hero. Of course, Genji is able to build up Blade rather fast, and it's used more of a tool to force out Immortality Field, but if you've got a superstar like Sparkle on your team, it's not so much about eating out the Immortality Field, more as just killing the rest of the team.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think we're going to see who the real Genjis are. Will the real Genji players please stand up? Because everyone can look good with a supercharger or a nano boost, and you just get those slashes through. We're going to see the actual mechanical plays of guys like Sparkle. The opening kill there, and then he's just going to get a couple in the back line. Hanbin and Sparkle being hammer and anvil, they will clean up all of that team. And then even if Vancouver was able to get out with that ball, I mean, the initial hack, they were going to roll into EMP, so that one was pretty much over. And they didn't even really need the EMP. I like the switch. I think it's a good idea. EMP Blade is theoretically the most strong Genji combo that we have in the meta right now. But we will have to continue to see. But it's going to be, you think you're a Genji? No, you're a Genji with an Ana. I'm a real Genji. That's what this meta is going to evolve to.
It's kind of ridiculous how much you can get done, right? Because Blongo, the blade in Bongo, isn't even available either. It's kind of ridiculous. And you have to be so patient with your dashes as well as Genji. You have to wait for the Immortality Field to come out, and then you have a save dash when the Immortality Field dies. Sparkle, of course, on the Doomfist. I was sort of talking about as Genji, because I think Doomfist, for me at least, is a way more fun hero to watch, especially if you have Sparkle piloting it. Very early aggressive push here from the Titans. Paris Eternal giving them a lot of space. Means no one's going to be able to get behind and farm this blade up rather fast. They are waiting, of course, for Sparkle to do something like this. Rather cheeky, if you do say so myself, as he does manage to find a double kill. They wait for them to come in. There's two nice walls that are right next to each other with a small archway. Perfect territory for the Doomfist. And one small thing, oh my god, kill Shockwave too. Nice little bit of tech to get onto the high ground as well. A nice bit of tech you can also do with the Doomfist with the Immortality Field. If you uppercut somebody, they actually leave the Immortality Field's range as the height isn't as big as the uppercut height. So if you knock someone out, hey, they are free game. The Immortality Field means nothing if Sparkle rises and uppercuts them into the air.
He's already nearing his ultimate too, and the ultimate is not all that great, except it's a beautiful escape and you can get someone down, and immediately both supports down for Vancouver. This fight's over before it started.
Yeah. Dalton at least has the wall climbing ability to get out of there ASAP. Does a bit of Assassin's Creed and escapes, or at least he tried to. Fielder and the rest of the gang were able to corral him. Now Paris Eternal only have to survive for 2 more minutes. Vancouver, however, they do have Blade. Flux, 50%. I'm not sure they can really do much in this situation, especially as you look at the Paris Eternal logs. They got Flux, they got Window, Rally, and they got Bob too.
I mean, it's just going to be about, can Dalton finally get some value out of this Genji? So far, they've run it on 2 maps, and it hasn't looked all of that stellar. And also on Genji, I mean, it's kind of a soft counter. Doomfist can just knock you out of Blade and just ruin your entire game plan, too. It's really interesting. We don't see a lot of Doomfist versus Genji, but I can see Sparkle making it work.
think that's the thing. You have to get the armor, right? But then you need Rally for that, which is you comboing 2 ults, which is kind of normal for these styles of comps, comboing those 2 things together. But Rally with Bade, Rally can take a long time to build up, especially if you're not in the fight. There's the punch into the wall, rising uppercut straight through Rolf's Immortality field, but soon ends up going down of all people. Sparkle can still carry this, however, as he's got the Immortality field at his back. The blade for Dalton's good, though, with the help from the Bob. He's slicing, he's dicing, he finds absolutely nobody, because Shredlock and Shockwave have already cleaned everybody up. You're just there to damage people and make the rest of your team look good, Dalton, in that situation. They got a minute remaining. They get on the point, adding a few more to their time bank as the Paris Eterna once again switch over to the Sombra to try and hack the Genji or hack one of the main tanks. Soon just, yeah, he's playing a small little game on the point there, but they do manage to cap it in the end.
The main tanks are going to be the targets here. They're the ones with ultimate abilities up. I mean, a Grav Flux into a Shatter can work out really well sometimes if you can force out early shields. But Paris has made a lot of changes. They don't have a lot going on for them. Their first push is generally the best push, and that's the case for Vancouver right now.
They got the tools to make it work. Oh, not anymore. Take it back. Take it back. Sparkle can just seismic slam on the ground like that. Anubis 2, by the way, as a Doomfist map, especially on the defense, is kind of ridiculous. The amount of verticals that you can get, or diags, sorry, not verticals. Diagonals you can get is just absurd. I'm sure you guys have all seen it before, of course. There's quite a few clips of not only Agility's doing it, but people like Sinatra too, being able to get to high ground with only just a punch, because the way the surface is actually modeled and the way that its hitbox interacts with the punch, you can normally just slide up and carry your momentum up to the high ground, which leaves you to then actually engage with your seismic slam and the uppercut, and then once you've done that, you can then punch away. Doomfist is an extremely interesting hero, and I love to talk about it a lot. Flux, Cole, goodbye KSA, as well. The rest of the team is also going to say sayonara.
Yeah, Vancouver's just going to wait on this one. They had ultimates, but luckily they are not hitting Q. And you're right with the Doomfist. It also just makes you nervous as the offense. Like, where are you going to push in? You always have to check your back. You saw the Reinhardt go in. Shredlock went in. He's immediately looking behind him because he knows Doomfist could be on the high ground right behind him and be able to isolate the targets and just punch a tank forward. But Vancouver did a good job there. They got in, they made Paris use some ultimates, and they saved their own. However, now you have to know, if you're Vancouver, that you're going to be pushing into EMP. How can you bait this out and still win a fight is the question.
Yeah, Soon is definitely going to have it online momentarily. Early rally from the Titans, yeah, so they're expecting the EMP to come through rather soon. Bob is going to get it sent out, chip away some of that armor, but Shockwave is actually in the back. He got caught out completely by Sparkle and Fielder. And now they're moving on to the point with only 1 DPS. They use the window too. They're committing a whole bunch to this fight. They definitely think they can win. There's the Shadow on the ground. Goodbye, Shredlock. Receives Immortality field, but his health bar is so low. A counter shout from Shredlock, but can they finish up with damage? I don't think so. Not anymore. As the Paris Eternal, for safety's sake, do use that beat in the fight. And now Vancouver Titans, even just foregoing some of that charge on the Ashe, end up switching to Tracer because they invested already so much into that fight Hex. And now what are they running into? They got EMP, they got pretty much everything that they need.
I mean, beat is fine to use there if you just look at the absolute glut of ultimates that Paris has. They're able to hold on to absolutely everything else. Vancouver is going to need the blade of a lifetime. As you mentioned, a lot of investments came in there, but early on, that Doomfist got to the back line, and then that's so much consistent damage you're expecting from your Ashe back there. Soon almost gets caught, though.
Oh, that's a big meteor strike. Oh, Blade on the point, though. Can he actually kill the Moira? Of course he can't. Moira's got a fade every 6 seconds. Then there's the boot from FD God, styling on Dalton, in fact. Paris Eternal, it looked very winnable there. Dalton just kind of solo on the point without rally armor either, because they don't even have a brig. The EMP comes out too, and now Vancouver Titans are in final fight territory. 35 seconds remains. They need to actually cap. But Paris Eternal invested basically everything, but in the meantime, Ben Best, through all the chaos, was able to build up a Shatter. They've got the Flux, they've got the Coal, and maybe a tire if Shockwave can bring it online, but this is second hero swap coming in to this attack onto the second point Hex. They have got a giant wall in front of them for them to climb over.
It's tough, and it's going to be scouted too, and immediately, I love this. No one really fights out here, so you're not expecting it to get the aggression going.
Yeah.
This one's over, yeah.
So sad. Oh, it's so sad. Like you said, no one's expecting to fight out there. That was almost perfect setup. Soon hacks the Junkrat. Sparkle jumps in, rising uppercut straight to his face, and he ends up falling. OT's ticking through. You know what's going to happen, though. The Paris Eternal are just going to be able to fend everybody else off, but you might as well touch for some additional time. And if you do find a pick, maybe it's winnable, but it's looking rather unlikely, especially when you're against a Sombra and even Sparkle with this Meteor Strike. OT ticks down, and Paris Eternal, they got a match point in the series as they claim Anubis.
Well, what a great way to play Sombra, too, on that last point, where you know you can just stop them before you get on a fight. Paris turns on the aggressive switch. They play in a part of the map that is often underutilized. We were talking a little bit about assault maps earlier, and I'm like, there's just parts of maps that no one fights in, ever. But Paris takes the fight out there. They get the really early scout, and when you're running a Sombra Doomfist out there, if you get the hack, you're going to get that kill, and it stops the Vancouver Titans attack before it even starts on Anubis. Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad that I was at least partially right, although I theorized like every meta, so I was going to hit on one of them. But like the Hack Fist definitely is going to be something that I think we see high-level teams play. I'd be stunned if we don't see a ton of Sombra in APAC. That region has always liked playing Sombra a lot, but Paris ran it to perfection there. You can't lose a fight if the other team doesn't know they're about to fight. It just seemed like Vancouver was setting up. Paris gets to the backline. Hack, Doomfist, beautiful play. Paris up 2-0.
It's really nice to see when two of the superstar DPS that Paris have on their lineup, Soon and Sparkle, are able to play some of the heroes that they are rather well known for. Soon's Sombra has definitely improved time and time again. Every single time I see him, I'm like, damn, his Sombra is actually really good here. And being able to combo with the Doomfist as well, the Doomfist that can play at such a high level is kind of ridiculous. So you saw at the very end there, hack the Junkrat, and normally you want to hack a tank, right? But the Junkrat can't use the concussion mine to get away, and you instantly kill him. It's perfect target acquisition. And the Paris Eternal, well, they're not looking any different. They ended up winning the Summer Showdown, looking like they can maybe win the Countdown Cup as well. We're going to jump to a quick break, though. Watchpoint are going to break down the first two maps. We'll see you in a bit.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League. By Pringles, Wavy, Zoe here, joined by Costa and Reinforce, and currently the Paris Eternal are leading a 2-0 lead. However, that was to be expected. It was a tall order to go up against our summer showdown champions, the Paris Eternal. If we're dissecting the matches, or rather the maps, and looking at the first one, I feel like we've only really seen one single look from the Vancouver Titans, Reinforce.
Yeah, we've only seen one look so far, and it's not the most optimal look, I would say. I mean, it does work on some maps against some compositions, but specifically on Control, playing Genji is rough when you're playing against compositions like Symmetra and Doomfist, because it's hard to find those dive targets that you can really dash onto and then find those opening picks. I mean, Control Center was just like a wish-wash? Is that a word? I don't even know.
Sure.
Like Junkrat was just popping off left and right, Sparkle that is, and then we went on to Gardens and it was the Symmetra show. So obviously not the start that Vancouver Titans wanted, but as we saw in the Summer Showdown, Paris Eternal, they probably are the best team on Control in the Overwatch League, right? Because they have these cool niche strategies that are working out for them. So Temple of Anubis, bit of a different story, but kind of similar, I suppose.
Yeah, we see why they're playing Soon over Exi here. Soon has a lot of adaptability in the play, and he has a lot of experience on a lot of different characters, and we saw it utilized here on the Sombra. Vancouver Titans had a lot of success on their defense in shutting the Paris Eternal down because they're just playing with blind, raw aggression. Just as soon as they walk through a choke, we're meeting them there and we're going aggressive. And it got a lot of value. Soon switches over to the Sombra, looking for hacks, looking for EMPs. It sort of slows this Vancouver Titans team down. It doesn't allow them to just run into them at all times. So great adaptation by the Paris Eternal, but the Vancouver Titans, as Zoe said, they seem to have one look and they're not willing to move away from it. And if they keep sticking with it, it's going to be hard for them.
I do wonder. I mean, that makes them fairly one-dimensional. However, if we're looking at what the Paris Eternal showed us, you already mentioned it, they have a lot of niche strats on Control. Overall, though, do you feel like they changed it up much ever since we saw them last in the Summer Showdown?
Oh yeah, I mean specifically on Temple of Anubis as well, we don't typically see a lot of Doomfist these days. In the past, Doomfist has been a really good character on Anubis because it's kind of close quartered, you can get some good punches in, etc. And Sparkle really showcased that on Temple of Anubis. So I like what they're bringing out, they're playing to their individual players' strengths, and it's really working out for them. Specifically against a team like the Vancouver Titans, who we know are so one-dimensional with these strategies. This is what the Vancouver Titans has done throughout the season. They play a composition, they like to refine it, and then stick with it, right? But the Paris Eternal, they're just throwing a wrench in the jet engine here, really, for the Vancouver Titans.
Engine.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster, right? So I felt like it painted a pretty good picture.
Well, see, I love how Sparkle is joining the league. He becomes eligible, and then he just gets to play everything his heart desires. We know him from like his previous teams and leagues he's been playing in as a Doomfist player, as a Genji player, and so far that's all he got to play. He's obviously excelling. So. Good for him. I'm very happy. Now, speaking of good, we do have a crunch time presented by Pringles. Wavy, Reinforce. What crunched?
Not speaking of good, Zoe.
I don't know what you have for us. I just assumed it's a good play.
No, it is actually about what Costa mentioned, the ruthless aggression from the Vancouver Titans. And so this is what I think they've been struggling with so far, is that they're playing too aggressive and they're throwing out their ultimates a bit too fast. So here, for example, what is Shockwave doing? He's just on the side, and then he throws at the Bob, doesn't really get any value, and then we see that the blade is going to be pulled by Dalton, and it's not going to get a ton of value. This is not really the clip where we're going to see it from, but Dalton essentially, he solo Dragon Bladed a Moira. Didn't work out. Didn't happen. Yeah. So they're taking some of these risks with their ultimates, and it's not really paying off for the Vancouver Titans. So I'd like to see them scale back their aggression a little bit, be a bit more patient with your ultimates, and try to ensure a bit more value in that regard. Because what is happening, and what happened on Temple of Anubis is, Vancouver Titans, they're like, well, we have 5 ultimates, let's use them this fight and see what happens. No, that's not a strategy. You can't plan like that. You gotta use them tactically, and ensure that you're setting yourself up for the best conditions possible to get value from those ultimates, and that's not what the Vancouver Titans have done so far. So I've actually spoken and ranted for so long that we're going to see it in this next fight. So we watch one fight.
Oh no, they got it! It's over. Okay.
It was close.
I'm so upset that my setup was speaking of great.
I want to talk about Shockwave, Because we've seen Shockwave play super aggressive and on his own, and we saw it in the clip early on in that crunch time. Shockwave likes to play these off angles, but the Paris Eternal is onto his shenanigans. They know that he's going to be in a weird spot, and they keep shutting him down. I remember it was on one of the Lijiang Tower rounds where they're in a team fight, and then all of a sudden Shockwave's just like behind them all of a sudden. He's got to be careful, especially if Paris Eternal knows what he's trying to do. He needs to switch it up every now and then to really sort of mix up the way that Paris has to play.
Right, so the teams are ready. We're now sending it over to Havana, and since Paris might take this and therefore also the victory, it's going to be Havana Ooh La La. I just thought of that.
Wow.
Thank you
New
very
map
much.
pool.
Yeah, exactly. We do see new maps, so we're keeping it exciting, we're keeping it fresh, and the same will be said about Jaws and Hex for this next upcoming map. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor. The Overwatch League is brought to you by HyperX. Unleash your style, unleash your fury with HyperX Fury Memory. And by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Online it dashes to the air, that is the cue, and there we go, the Hulk pulls them all together, the Immortality Field does come out. What a great reaction from the Vancouver Titans.
On dépasse Eternal Exit qui continue de dérouler le flux gravitationnel d'Anvin ici qui va complètement sceller les espoirs des joueurs de Vancouver Titans.
Try and pressure them, and the Immortality Field was used so early there by Fielder. But what little else could he do? Later, now he wants to go in the whole combo, but a good night. See you later, Sparkle.
Welcome back, Paris Eternal against the Titans, the rematch from the Summer Showdown, and currently, Titans are down 2. However, they've proven before that they can take maps off the Paris Eternal. Can they find the next one? We're going to Havana soon.
Well, now you're in a halftime, perhaps some coaching, some strategy changes come in that Vancouver can start looking like the team that we thought they were. Right now, it's been pretty one-sided. Paris continues to run whatever they want to do. We've gotten Sparkle Doomfist. We've gotten the Sparkle Genji, and, you know, before the match started, I said, I don't know what the scrims look like. I don't know what the meta is, but if I'm Paris, I just run Sparkle on Genji until someone stops it. And so far, no one's been able to stop it. I think you could still combo with Rally. They have notions of comboing with EMP, but Sparkle doesn't even need to wait. He just goes for it, has that Genji play. The Doomfist play was phenomenal as well. One of the superstars we expected to blossom in this league, and Sparkle is living up to all of the hype he had coming in.
Yeah, and to prove how good Sparkle has been, Matt Marcel did put out a tweet just a second ago. Just look at and marvel how good this meme is. Matt Marcel, you get a 9 from me, okay? And you have to have, I think, a forehead as big as Mitch's, Mitch Uber Leslie's, to actually understand this meme. But I'm sure most of you have that, of course. And 31-8 in the first half of the series. Only slightly ridiculous.
I mean, to be fair, you have to have a pretty high IQ to understand that meme. Crumbopulous Sparkle is now a meme. Do with it what you will. Yeah, but Backpack Matt coming in huge. Those numbers are insane. Like, that's a 3-1, even better. I'm not going to do the actual math on it, but, like, Sparkle has not been shut down. The meta still favors him, and when you can't run the Genji, you can still run the Doomfist, and that Doomfist, like, if you think back on Anubis, it shut down fights before they started. He was in the backline, and now Ashe is out of it. And when you're trying to push an Anubis last, you want 5 people up front and Ashe to finish people off from the backline and get the dynamites and do that. And then just eliminating Ashe, and I mean, we know how hard it is to play offense on assaults, and to play offense on assault with 5 people instead of 6, that's even tougher. So Sparkle has been phenomenal for this team. We expected it. We've seen Soon all day, so I wonder if Xe is just still under the weather, and Paris is fine running Soon against Vancouver, and Soon's been playing just fine. It's nice to have that bench depth.
Yeah, bench depth is rather important, especially with the hero pools as well, Hex. Soon is staying in. So, yep. Sombra, Hackfist, maybe so. Maybe a little bit more Genji as well. Havana a little less kind to Doomfist, I will say. A lot of open area. Doomfist loves to get on high ground, uses Seismic Slam, uppercut, shot, punch away kind of thing. You know the combos by now. So I can't imagine we're going to be seeing that. Maybe just a little bit more Genji here. I wouldn't be too surprised, but this might actually favor Titans because Shockwave can play on the Ashe again. Dalton can jump on something like a Tracer and do double hit scan and rely on Shockwave chunking people out with the dynamite, and then Dalton finishing people off like we've seen over the last few weeks. And they are they're continuing their debate on what pizza is good.
Yeah, I was going to say, are you reading chat? Because I can't understand what's going on in chat.
I'm always reading the chat.
Even Dalton has no idea what's going on. I think you see Ashe here. Like, when I think of Havana, I think of it as a Widow map. But no Widow in the hero pool, of course, so then Ashe would be the next best thing for damage, distance damage, rather. We'll see what Paris wants to run there on offense, but we do know what the defense is going to run. It is going to be Ashe and Genji again, something that we had theorized we're still going to see. I've not been ultra impressed with Dalton's Genji. It doesn't seem to be getting the value that Sparkle's getting out of it, but that's a pretty high bar to set.
Oh. Why is there a full croissant? Not croissant, sorry. Oh my god, how English am I?
Yeah, it's a calzone.
No. That looks like a Cornish pasty. I forgot the word pasty.
Oh, okay, yeah.
For
pasty.
a good 10 seconds there. I feel awful. I'm sorry, my English friends. I'm ashamed of myself.
I mean, it just looked like something from the locale calzone zone. You know, that's what I thought it was.
Calzone zone. That should be the call out for that portion of the map, although I don't actually know where those 2 pigeons are chilling. Probably not chilling anymore, as there's lots of violence happening towards the spawn door. Nice punch onto Dalton there. Dalton was in the back line and did get instantly killed off by the punch. I mean, you might as well hold this far up, right? You get an extra fight if you do manage to do it, and they've got to make sure Shockwave doesn't get caught out again. This is the problem that they found themselves in last time around. But with Fielder falling, Paris Eternal, it shouldn't matter to them all too much because they have a small advantage, and it's just going to be dying on the payload, still for some additional time. No step on that dynamite humping, you're good. And they finally get the payload moving, but burning almost a minute off the time bank, not too bad whatsoever. Potentially 1 and a bit extra fights now.
No, it's very much like you think about Route 66. There's really no cost of trying to hold very far forward, because then you can just hold it where you're going to hold anyway. It gets you an extra fight. It burns some time off the clock. I guess the biggest attraction is that the other team generally will have ult advantage going into these fights if they mop it up, but it was a pretty close fight back and forth, some trades, so Vancouver is going to have ults. They're going to get aggressive.
They go on a hack fist now. Spike on the Doom. There's the Shadow. That's a lot of people on their back, but instant EMP. There we go. There's the combo we were waiting for. I don't think they were expecting the EMP to be built up that quickly, but you have spent about 2.5 minutes building it up. That was beautiful. Wait for them to use their big tank ults, hit them with the EMP, and then no one can follow up with the damage, and then you win the team fight. Sparkle now trying to find an early pickoff with the help of Soon, potentially. Looks like Vancouver Titans might be able to get another recontest here. Another benefit of holding so far up, like you were saying, Hex. Sparkle even has that Meteor Strike to make sure he can get out of dodge rather fast. Dalton very quickly bites the dust, and that should just be it. Although they do get fluxed up in the air, and even the Bob doing a fair bit of damage.
Yeah, it's close.
Bob doing a little bit more than a fair bit as he takes out FD God. Extremely close, only 1 meter away. A clutch flux from KSA makes sure they can hold on to the payload.
It really felt like that was going to be Paris all the way, and so much so that I think Paris was holding on to ultimates so that they weren't burning them. They thought they had that fight in the bank, but an enormous flux comes through from the Vancouver Titans, able to get that one going, and Vancouver is able to hold on to 2 support ultimates. Karkar not there yet, but he will be, and the Blade. That's an enormous fight for Vancouver. I think Paris, and even as a spectator, I thought Paris had that one, so they were holding ultimates. Not so.
Oh, they're looking for the hack. Dalton's going to be able to scurry to cover, but not scurry quick enough. That's a rock straight to his face. Yeah, Blade too, which could have been the turning point. Aggressive Blade from the Titans. They need to be able to hold on to this payload, but Ben Best unaffected really about the extra shields, just still swinging through, chunking out Shredlock. There's the EMP. A lot of people hacked. Shredlock instantly killed. KSA next to fall, maybe. But no, Shockwave manages to keep everybody in the fight with that Bob, and even Dalton coming back with the Blade is rather low, but he's doing the damage. And now only 60 seconds remains for the Eternal. We said about how they can take the maps off. It's not been a one-sided affair up until this point, I must say. A lot of these fights looking rather good for the Titans. A very late flux being used also. They know there's only really one fight now for the Paris Eternal to come back. A return flux for Humbin mixed with that Coalescence. Everybody's isolated. Shredlock finally goes down. My word, he took a long time, and Humbin cleaning up the rest.
A very questionable late flux. It looked like Paris was on their way out. Vancouver could have held on to that one. Paris wanted to retreat, but then they get fluxed, so they have to counter-respawn with their own ultimates. The Coalescence comes through, and Paris able to get that final push to get an extension on their clock. And now Vancouver's bank is nearly empty, and this has been happening all series as well. Vancouver is not retreating properly. They're getting caught out late, and there's been a lot of stagger deaths from the Titans.
Ouch. FD God falls. It should be a nice position. That Shadow didn't hit anybody, unfortunately. Sparkle takes to the skies as well, retreats the rest of his team. Or maybe he doesn't want to. He's still got 100 HP and gets a lot of shielding. Well, if he hits people, but he didn't hit anybody, so he instantly died, actually. I take it all back. Shredlock does end up falling, though, which means KSA is going to be alone in the front line to try and deal with the rest of the onslaught coming from Paris Eternal, and they're still moving the payload, mind you, as well. Froth is also pretty low, has to play safe, and once your supports are low and can't heal themselves, it's a very sore fight for you to lose. Even if they're alive, they have to be careful of not only Soon, but Sparkle getting to the backline and insta-killing them. A minute and 50 seconds, Hex. Vancouver have Blade, and they have Bob.
Yeah, Onslaught is the exact way to describe this. There's not been a concerted defense thus far from Vancouver. The Blade comes out, though, gets one.
It's so good, but the healing might have been better. Fielder using that Coalescence, managed to stay alive throughout the entirety of that, but FD God still ends up going down. Fielder luckily stays alive, and Sparkle taking the fight into his own hands. A big EMP followed up with Sparkle's damage, but might be all that they need, but a clutch beat from Karkar saves them from Sparkle, and the Bob as well, backing up the team when they most need them. However, a late beat from the Paris Eternal as they come back in. You see FD God flying from spawn, hits 4 people with the beat, and they clean up the fight. Paris Eternal secures second point, and the Titans once again looking like they're going to win the team fight just at the very end. Managed to let it slip through their fingers.
This is kind of the stat that we had prefaced before the match started, that Vancouver just doesn't win fights where they lose people in it, whereas Paris, they'll lose 1 or 2 and they still go at it. FD God coming flying back in from spawn, gets that beat there, and Paris able to take that one up. Sparkle going down first. Everyone's so low on Vancouver right now, though.
Yeah, everybody got fluxed up in the air, and Hambim is touching the skybox. Soon back on the Kree. Doesn't want to step on the Sombra. He's not going to be able to get too much done, and yeah, deals with Dalton super easily. These fights are so winnable from either side. It feels like it's not decided until Soon or Sparkle or even Dalton gets a pick off. The tank's still brawling it out, and Paris Eternal still managed to control all the space on the payload. Quick regroup from both teams, and they're back to full strength in a matter of no time.
Yeah, I mean, people forget about Soon's McCree being one of the best in the world, but an open coalescence from Vancouver, they got to try to get kills here.
Oh, that was such a nice bob, too. As soon as he sees the Doomfist go up in the air, he's got to let out Bob before Sparkle lands on his head, but it didn't matter in the end. Sparkle's now able to try and find a flank route as the Paris Eternal rout the Titans. They've got a minute left. Havana third, rather dangerous to actually complete considering how close the spawn points are, and they have a nice sight line on payload as well. However, holding them straight at the door is not going to be too much of an issue for the Eternal, and this is what you really need to do, force them to the other side, and look at the free space they're now gaining. FD God just sitting on the payload all alone. One person's going to be able to touch it, it's Kaka. He needs to survive and get the beat to make sure his team can actually recontest once again, but there might not be anybody to actually give the beat to. Best and Fielder kill off Dalton and Shredlock at the end, and Kaka, unfortunately, even if he did have the beat, it would have only landed on himself. That will be a completion for the Eternal with a little bit of time in the time bank as well. 54 seconds, nothing to scoff at.
No, it's a great completion for Paris Eternal. The cart did not stop once it got through that first point. This was either going to be like a full hold from Vancouver Titans or what you saw just happen there. There was no defense from second point onward, even in fights that felt even at times, where Vancouver is getting a pick or two. That payload never stopped moving. They were always on it. Paris just scrapped it out all the way through. And yeah, it felt like there were fights happening, but it never felt like Vancouver really got their feet back under them after the first. And this has happened on the first couple of maps. Some of these stagger kills where Paris is being really aggressive to mop up. When they get one or two, they're going after the rest of the team as they try to retreat. So Vancouver's got to recognize this. They have to get out cleaner and hopefully have like an actual 6v6 defense, because I didn't see a whole lot of great concerted team fights there from second on to third. That payload just kept moving. They just never stopped it. Get one kill, two kills, but it never mattered.
Did feel like both teams at the very end, it came down to just the DPS clicking on people after they'd already died to start off with. Extraordinarily scrappy fights. Very early hold for the Eternal. No surprises there, but Sparkle's going to have a little bit of a field day here. There's so many surfaces you can hit people into. Oh dear, Shockwave wasn't expecting that. A flame strike straight through the spawn door. Fire strike even.
Hey, Shockwave on Echo though. This is how they were so good. Shockwave's Echo was a thing to behold, and now Dalton's going to go to McCree as well. Try to slow down Sparkle. Flashbang's pretty good against both the DPS of Paris.
Yeah, Sparkle's main goal here is to kill Shredlock or KSA. It's going to be a tough time, like you said, and there you go. KSA meets him with the rock. Then Best 2 caught out in the front line. Not the hold they were really looking for there. Paris only managed to kill one, but still, you get another fight, so why not? However, Shockwave and Dalton, good luck, Sparkle, for your Doomfist. And in fact, yeah, there you go. He switched over to Genji. A little bit more brawling power. Not so much in the sky still, but the blades are going to be a little bit more impactful than the Meteor Strike is, not the Seismic Slash.
Yeah, we'll see what they can get done. I actually just really like that Vancouver's finally switched off of some of the damage dealers that they had before. These are your best heroes, and like when you're down 0-2 in a match and you're map 3 that you just got completed on, it becomes time to just everybody play their best hero. We're going to go out with our style. Let's see how it works.
See them kind of swapping positions at this point. Now Paris control the payload and the space around it. Titans get EMP'd, and that should just be it. Everybody falls over. And that was the extra fight we were talking about, as well as that payload not really moving anywhere near this the final corner before it hits into this first point. Oh dear, Shredlock having the worst time imaginable. Yeah. I thought it might be over. The days of main tank suffering with Orisa and the May, but no, because I forget Sombra exists too, and she can just hack people. So
Paris has been so good about punishing these late retreats, and it's not always the Vancouver Titans' fault, really. Paris has just turned the switch very quickly. Whenever they win a fight, they win it dominantly.
Oh, Blade for Sparkle in the back. Oh, he kills Dalton mid-ult too. Oh, he's so good. Everybody crashes back down to earth. A quadra kill for Sparkle. Everybody's half HP. That percent damage from the Flux just aiding in Sparkle's resets. The Paris Eterna will hold on to the payload yet again, and the payload is trekking its way back to the spawn as well, mind you.
Only 2 fights left. Vancouver's going to come up on some ultimates, but here Sparkle goes just a killing again. Makes the blade work in a meta that really is not even being super enabled and pocketed. Just how good he is.
Cole, Shockwave going for the dangerous Genji. 75%, there's the blade. What a couple of dashes. He does get rocked, and remember, he will come out 100% HP when he comes out of this ult. He's trying to get stuff done, and he does just that. FD God and Humbin. They end up falling, as well as Sparkle off the back of it as well. Normally you saw the Echoes transforming into the tanks, and a bit of a risky game transferring into a DPS, but with the buff on the Genji, you're going to earn that blade so fast with the Echo. He does just that, and they managed to get the payload moving once again, but Paris still have a fight in the bank.
Well, they're about to get EMP'd. The biggest question right now for Paris is how do you follow up the EMP?
Oh, they're going now.
Nothing else left. Big EMP, though, gets 2.
Cole, oh, soon instantly dies. That Coalescence is doing such work in the back, keeping everybody alive, and the EMP looks so good too. Hit 3 to 4 people. Unfortunately, Vancouver Titans were waiting for it, and they knew exactly how that fight was going to go down. As you saw, Rolf positioning way out of the range and out of LOS. Soon's like, nope, I've had enough. I need to take care of Shockwave up in the skies. He switched over to the Kree.
Yeah, it's a desperation EMP, and hopefully you get it going there, but EMP without any sort of ultimate follow-up is usually going to be a really tough ask to get, but Soon was going to switch anyway to try to deal with Shockwave in the sky. He's going to go back to that McCree. So, yeah, it looked kind of bad, and they threw away an EMP, but that EMP was going nowhere anyway.
Play for Sparkle, flashbanged, and yeah, there we go. No nano boost, no Blongo, no armor, and that means Genji's a little bit more vulnerable than he used to be. KSA bringing out the up to the skies as well, and holding this high ground too. I believe that was actually an interrupt on Fielder's Coalescence, potentially. I didn't quite see it through all the just a massive abilities that were going off, especially in POV of KSA. But that was a very good fight. The blade is definitely a tool to force out abilities. You kind of saw it there, but it was all on KSA actually getting to the high ground and no one really paying attention to him. High ground set up now for Dalton.
Without the nano and the armor packs, like, getting double stunned actually means Genji dies now, rather than the previous meta where you could get double stunned and Genji still gets 3 kills. Vancouver's in a great spot here. They have every ultimate they could possibly want.
Shatter on the payload. There's the Deadeye, but oh, dearie me. You don't want to pull the trigger that fast, I'm afraid. Not when Deflect is up. Straight back into his temple. And that'll be the Titans resetting. Still got a minute and 20 seconds. Havana rather scrappy. Not many ults to bear, though, for this next fight, and they got to run into this Coalescence, potentially Blade from Sparkle, and this High Noon, too.
Vancouver just used everything that they had, and for that to go as badly as it did for Vancouver is brutal. We're nearing only a minute, and there's single-digit ultimate charges on several of the Vancouver Titans heroes trying to go forward. We see a little bit of Tracer for the first time today, as Shockwave is going to move on to that hero, probably just trying to get to the back line, maybe pressure out Fielder and FD God. Just trying to take a 1v1 against a Genji or McCree as Tracer is not ideal.
Probably used fairly early. It's not the biggest waste of cooldowns there, but you definitely want to combo the orb with the Cold.
Beautiful shot.
An instant headshot. Fielder was half HP too, mind you. Maybe a little bit over, but instant kill. However, KSC does die to High Noon of all things, but Darwin's still in the back line. Eventually gets cleaned up, but the damage might have already been done as the blade is pulled from Sparkle. Desperation! As you see Shredlock just carving him up in the front line. There was no way he was going to be able to get more than anything else done. Sparkle changed to something else, but no, he still wants to stick on the Genji. As they switch to Sombra, I mean, this is going to have to be his time to shine. The payload does reach the second point, and now the grueling push to third point. Oh, Shockwave. That was not where you wanted to be.
Yeah. It is a long way, and switching to Sombra is absolutely the right move. With only 90 seconds left, you feel on the defense you really only need to win one fight. Cole's going to open this one up, push everybody back out. Soon's building pretty quick.
There's the Flux being opened up. Yeah, car crashes back to Earth. Yeah, he knew he was dead. There's absolutely no way he's surviving that one. A beautiful rock and a hack as well. Oh dear, the hack! Oh, the hack actually killed Shockwave. FD God booped him off to get the final kill credit. He actually boosts KSL off as well. FD God, stop it. Please. Eventually
trying to
gets
get
cleaned
out.
up by
He gets
Dalton,
flunked.
but
Yeah.
they do manage to claim the payload. It's just because the spawn positions for the attacking squad there, because the payload wasn't moved too far, they were able to get back on rather fast. Shouldn't be too big.
Translocate. Soon's in a little bit of trouble without that translocate up now.
Oh, he is dead. Oh, he is very dead, yep. No, he is not. I don't know where he's gone. It looked like he fell off the map, but he's going to be out of action for the time being.
Well, it's 30 seconds left. It's do or die now for the Titans.
Keze getting the flux off with a hammer down as well, but Shockwave wasn't really in position to follow up with any damage, and now he's found himself in no man's land. Spark ends up finishing off with a melee. Someone might be able to touch here, but it's looking rather unlikely. Coalescence coming out as well to force everybody back all the way to the spawn. FD God even has the beat. They have Blade, they have the EMP. They've got every single tool in the bank that they need to win a team fight, especially in OT. Vancouver Titans have got a mountain to climb, and I don't think they're even going to get up the first step. The Sparkle Blade is good enough to finish everybody else off. The Paris Eternal forcing everybody away, and they take the map and the series a clean 3-0 to start off the qualifiers.
Yeah, I don't know if I really want to call Havana clean. That felt like the filthiest bunch of fights in a row I've ever seen. It never really felt like one team had solidly won a fight and got the reset, but at the end of the day, Paris relies on that EMP Genji. I think we're going to see a ton of Sombra. I really do. I think teams with a good Sombra player are going to be at an advantage here because it works so well. If you want to enable your Genji player, who's still going to be very important, if you want to enable your Doomfist, Sombra is the player to do it. And then when you got a guy like Soon who can play both McCree and Sombra and really anything else that you ask him to do, that versatility really helped Paris towards the end. But it's just tough trying to push into an EMP. Never happens, and Paris always made the switches at the right time. It's like, okay, 2 minutes left. We need a single fight. I guess I'll pick Sombra. Sombra wins fights alone by just getting EMP. We have 2 minutes. We got the time. Yeah, Vancouver did not look great today. The Genji didn't come out big strong for them. I think playing Echo was a desperation move. Try to get Shockwave on his best hero, or at least so far in the Overwatch League. But Paris Eternal, this is a team that just won the tournament, and we expect these kind of results from them.
Yeah, and they had Soon in as well for the entirety of it. I could only assume Xy's still feeling a little bit under the weather, but having Soon in on the Sombra is just not even new form. It just feels like an old Paris at this point, just looking this strong. I think everybody was a little bit surprised when they did beat San Francisco Shock, but you can now really see what this team is really made of. Sparkle on the Genji, Soon as well coming in on the Sombra. Sometimes they didn't even need the EMP and the Blade. They can just finish up with their stellar tank line as well. Sparkle is going to be your player of the match as well, presented by Xfinity. And who better really to give it to? Is Genji sick? His Doomfist is sicker. And I just cannot wait to see this team plow through the rest of the competition. They look so clean. However, it does look, it's still a good form, I think, for the Vancouver Titans. They didn't look so strong today. They couldn't quite find their revenge, but the team has definitely shown that they are at least middle of the pack team, at least in the NA region. I don't think there's much to write home about just yet. They're still improving, and the metas are going to be changing with the hero pools, so sometimes it does take a team a little bit of time to fit in that groove. So maybe in the next couple of weeks, when the hero pool and the meta kind of solidifies in this 2 weeks, that they find their footing.
It's a tough draw to go against Paris in the very first match of a new meta and a new hero pool. Like, it's just a tough draw. Vancouver didn't look good today. I'm not going to sugarcoat that for you. But this Paris team is one of the best teams we have in the league. And Sparkle, being able to do what he did on Genji, even though it wasn't as pretty and it wasn't as flashy, and it's not going to be that way for Genji anymore. You're not getting Nano, you're not getting Supercharger. You have to scrap by on the Genji, and I think like you're not going to get those 4K blades, although I think we still saw one out of Sparkle, unless you're getting EMP blade, which seems like the Paris route. But he was also getting individual kills. Just doing it without ultimates, I think, is going to separate the best Genjis from the Nano Genjis that we saw in the last meta, and it's just nice to see Sparkle Doomfist. The rest of Paris, rock solid. Sparkle comes in, Soon gives you that versatility. If you need an ace off the bench, you still have Xy there. It's a dangerous team, and I think Paris, they're the returning champions. They have to be almost the front runner to win the next tournament.
Yeah, we are having a Sparkle interview momentarily. You have to deal with us talking for a little bit longer as we do set that one up. I want to see what Sparkle has to say. I wonder if his mic is equally as distorted in game as he is when he does stream. We'll have to wait and see, of course. But yeah, I of course I really enjoy seeing the depth that they do have. I love how Nico is also on the bench and they can bring him in when necessary too. I wonder if we'll see him later on in the season. At the moment, I think XD and Sparkle are the people to run with, but we've seen soon Sombra. This is kind of a perfect meta if you want to run the Hack Fist, and like you were theorizing a little bit early on as well, that we might see something like that. We're not going to see Nano. We don't see Blongo with the blade and the bongo. Like, it's not a thing for the time being.
You're trying to
at
make
least.
Blongo a thing.
It's a thing, okay? It's a thing. Blongo,
Stop
Nano
trying to
blade,
make
Blongo.
fetch a thing. It's not a thing.
No. And it wasn't a croissant. It was a Cornish pasty. I'll just have you know, I received a lot of tweets about it, and I'll have you know, it was a pasty.
As an American, we don't really have those here, so it looked like a calzone to me, which is just a pizza folded in half, which is like the best food possible.
Which is one of the best foods made even better because you can just pick it up with your hands and then just shovel it into your mouth. I mean, that's what I end up doing. Like, although I will say, New York, fantastic pizza, by the way. LA pizza, somewhat left to be
I got a couple
desired.
places I can recommend. I know it's not top tier, but I got a couple places that I like they're okay, right? Anything's better than pizza in the Midwest, which is always just a frozen pizza at a pub, right? It's like $2 frozen pizza. That's the Midwest style of pizza.
Well,
in Chicago deep dish does not count as pizza. I lived in Chicago for 5 years. I feel confident to say this. Hot dogs in Chicago, aces. Deep dish pizza, it's just lasagna with a crust. Get over it. Like, it's not pizza.
Lasagna with a crust?
Yeah.
I mean, that just sounds delicious, actually, if you just have that as just kind of a dish on its own, lasagna with crust. It sounds pretty good.
but it's just not pizza.
Yeah, I guess not. Well, regardless, pizza in LA, kind of meh, gonna be real. I've had it in Italy as well, pretty good. Although having it in a spoons back in the UK, not so great. It's just a frozen pizza that they defrosted.
Well, just so you know, we are waiting for an interview. We're waiting for Sparkle to probably fix his microphone, and production's probably losing their minds about it. We do have another map today as we kick off the opening. What is this called? The Countdown Cup? Yeah, right?
Countdown Cup.
Yeah, Countdown Cup. We have the battle for Texas next. Houston versus Dallas, so don't go anywhere for that one. No matter what the records are for these squads, it's always fun to see regional rivalries, especially fan-wise. Maybe the players don't really get into Houston versus Dallas, but I guarantee you the people living in Texas care a great deal about this one. And also, you know, based on the meta we've seen, both of these teams could run some Sombra, run some Candy. It should be really interesting to go as we just wait for the setup of our interview and wait for Sparkle and Zoe.
Yeah, we're going to quickly jump to a quick player comms from the Summer Showdown. We'll run you through that, and then Sparkle should be ready with Zoe with an interview.
Ben?
Yes, sir.
I'm fine. My mic?
Yeah, I think.
What?
Gotta have white noise to drown out the crowd.
Nah, facts, man.
I'm about to open my windows. Like, it's like the people on the sidewalk, they're like the crowd. I'm like, yo!
Is that a flyer?
Is that a fly?
Man, we're so funny, guys.
Yeah, you're good ones.
Funny group of gamers.
We do keep making into that little comms check thing.
We're so funny and marketable and foggers.
You're making excuses.
What is excuse?
I
understand.
Yeah? Okay. Explain to me. What is excuse?
No power.
What? It's like, oh, I didn't do my homework because my dog ate it. You know?
Okay.
핑계.
Oh.
핑계, you idiot.
My camera's pointing at my bed when it's halftime. I'm about to go lay in it so the cam.
Yes. Oh my, I'm gonna puke just looking at this. Oh my god, I can't.
The admin just started recording. The admin just started recording, dude.
Admin started recording. Cut.
I almost locked DPS out of habit.
What happened? For the match?
Stop, yeah.
Yeah, we start, bro.
Hey guys, welcome back. I always do love hearing the comms between the two teams. Even if it is just sometimes like a garbled mess, it's kind of funny to listen to. We are still waiting on, of course, the Sparkle interview, so that shouldn't be too long. But we do have, like you said, Hex, Battle of Texas coming up after this as well. It's going to be pretty exciting. Dallas Fuel and the Outlaws, they've had a interesting time against each other. I mean, they're both 3-3 on their record, but if you look at where Outlaws won versus where Dallas won, in recent memory, the last 3 games they've played against each other, Dallas have actually won every single one of those. Outlaws, at the very start of the Overwatch League, they ended up winning their 3. So it's been an interesting shift.
It's very difficult to go historical. I mean, even in the young league that we have, only on year 3, these are completely different rosters. So it's like kind of hard to look back at 2018 and be like, oh, that matters in this kind of franchise rivalry. More importantly, though, it's not a calzone. It's not a pasty. We forgot to take the region into perspective. It's a empanada with Cuba. Yeah, it's got to be an empanada. I mean, this is the most important part of the Overwatch League.
Currently, this is the most important part.
What is the food on the floor of maps, I think, is really the big question that we all want to answer. And yeah, I mean, our stats guy, even right now, is correcting us on what street food is on the ground in Havana. And I think, yeah, he's probably right. Fine. Probably an empanada.
I'm not going to lie. That's the first time I've heard an empanada. I didn't know what that was until today, so there you go. I've been corrected. So that's a little bit more culture in your life never did hurt, and I would like to try one at this point now. Just everybody's tweeting me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Havana would be great to go. Mojitos, thanks, Cubanos. Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Matt. Really appreciate that. I mean, look, we were directed to talk about just how good Paris is, and I think I'm almost out of words for how good Paris is right now. I think I was looking at their matches through the beginning of the year, because a lot of people had them like middle of the power rankings before they started beating teams like Philadelphia. There are a couple blunders in their early season roster, but like, I think they got 0-3 against Houston. There were a couple like interesting mistakes, but generally they only lose to really, really good teams. Teams like San Francisco Shock, Philadelphia Fusion, teams that you could maybe put above them. But I kind of feel like that's a different Paris team than the one we're seeing now, as they've evolved and now they have Sparkle in there, and that enables everybody else to do better. The support line, I mean, what bringing Fielder in has helped this team a lot. So I think you can look at early season results and you could see that Paris had potential, but now they're finally living up to it. Like, this roster is the Paris roster that can take them to possibly a grand finals.
It's definitely quite possible. I mean, Fielder playing on 200 ping as well, by the way. So imagine if he played not on 200 ping. Imagine if he played on very low MS. I think most of the other players, right? Like, it would be even more astounding, I believe. Yeah, like I said before, like Hex said, I'm just going to reiterate real fast. We are still waiting on the Sparkle interview. He should be ready momentarily. Do not worry, guys. Do not fret. It is coming rather soon. But it has been a very interesting day, and I think it will continue to be an interesting day and a weekend to see how the meta really wants to move. With May and Orisa out, I think that was a little less impactful than things like... Sorry, with May out, I think that was a little less impactful than things like Orisa and the Ana being removed as well. Sure. Obviously, a lot of teams do stray towards a Widowmaker because of the amount of ridiculous hit scan talent we do have in the league. People like Xe, people like Arns as well. The Widowmaker is just fantastic. And even Soon as well, nothing to scoff at either. His Widow's always been rather feared. With the Genji itself, I was very concerned on like how it would interact, and of course you could just see on your screens just then the Sparkle following this up with a nice little 4K. With Flux, I think this might be the next big ult to really combo it with, because the percent damage and crashing people back down, and there's no instant healing, and if you don't have the immortality field available as well, you guys are going to die very fast, and it's going to be easy for the Genji to get resets, especially off of lower HP targets as well. Right. Things like Lucio, things like Moira, Baptiste, whatever. That's going to be the big ult I think they're going to combo with if people are going to still run this Genji. Although with teams with a lot of hit scan people on the bench, I think we might just see a bit of Tracer and a bit of Ashe. We're going back a few weeks where that was more in the meta.
Yeah, we only saw Tracer for just a very little bit here too, but I think you're hit the nail on the head. A lot of people look at Genji's kit and think about all the mobility and the damage and the burst damage. For me, I think his kit really revolves around dash resets. It's his most unique mechanic, and when you're dropping everyone down and they're taking like that health, that percentage health, which is also one of the most unique abilities in the game, to take a percentage health off people, then it's just a feast for Genji, and it's just dash and dash and dash, and you can completely mop up a team without using a secondary ultimate, and those dashes and the resets you're going to get off of those are going to get you your ultimate as well. So I think we're still evolving on how does Genji work in this meta. He's almost always been a hero that you have to combo something with. Like, what do we do to set up our Genji to get the 5 kills on the Blade? And I think we're seeing Flux. Of course, EMP would be the default one of, like, if you don't have any abilities, then just to stun Genji, you're just... you're dead and you're getting reset. But it's been really interesting to see how that goes, and especially a team like Paris that I think... I don't know if this is a good indicator of the meta, because I just felt Paris was going to run Genji until someone stopped them, and no one stopped them so far. So we'll see how it goes. I really think that we're going to see a lot of Sombra, mostly just because even watching APAC the last couple of weeks, I'm like, the region loves Sombra so much, and it's been that way since like 2017. So I think we're going to continue to see that. It's just how do you combo Sombra with someone else? And I think Sombra Genji still could work as a really good combo. We heard rumors of dive, although we didn't see any dive in that first match.
Well, we might see it a little bit later as well. We have the Houston Outlaws facing the Dallas Fuel after the break. And I do apologize, guys. There's a couple of tech issues with getting hold of Paris, so we're not actually having the interview now. Again, I am sorry, but we're going to jump to a quick break, guys. Do not go anywhere. Battle for Texas coming up next.